Hi everyone. I'm going to do something a little bit different today with pickles. I got these pickles from the garden. They're actually from my neighbor's garden because mine aren't quite ready because I direct sowed them, so I'll be able to do more at a later date, but I am going to try fermenting pickles. I've never done it before. My dad had done it when I was a kid. I remember he had this huge crock in the basement and he did fermented pickles, but today I'm going to try it myself because one, they have probiotics and they're healthier for you than the pickles that you can in the water bath can. It kind of, kills all the nutrition that, that's in the pickles when you water bath can them. And these are actually more healthy. They're gut friendly. It helps with your gut health. And they're just overall better health-wise for canning pickles. So what I did was I washed my quart jars. I have 4-quart jars. You can use any type of jar. You can use a crock. You can use repurposed jars. I also have these. These are for fermentation. They have a little nipple little hole to release the gases here. I've also seen people use coffee filters to put on the top and then put like a rubber band around it, or tie it up somehow so the coffee filter stays on there. And basically we're just not wanting things to get inside the jar, bugs or whatever, dust. So I have these. I got them from Amazon. They are pickle pipe lids, and then they go with the regular wide mouth jar, and then or like I said, if you want to do a more economical, you can use like coffee filters, or you don't want to use a cheesecloth because they're pretty porous unless it's a kind of more tight, real tight knit. So you want to be able to have these breathe. And the other thing that I have are these weights, because once we put everything in the jars, this will hold the pickles down, because we want everything to stay submerged. You don't want the pickles to come up because then above the water, the brine, because otherwise you could have mold, and we don't want mold. So I also got these from Amazon. The other thing you can use is a jelly jar, like a small jelly jar that's the same size bottom as this. You could put some water in it and then put that on top as well. So you don't have to have these, but I thought these were cool, so I bought them. I'll leave a link to these and the pickle pipes in the description box below. And you don't have to sterilize the jars. You just want to make sure they're washed with hot soapy water. So that's what I did. I washed them with hot soapy water. I washed the lids, the rings, and then I let them over here to dry. The other thing I did was I washed the pickles with cold water. I have well water. And then once I got all the dirt off of them, then I let them soak in the sink for a little bit, because I've had these in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and that kind of helps crisp those up. So I did that. I have 4 cups of water here for the brine, and we'll get to that later. And then I have peppercorns, Redmond's real salt. I have mustard seed. I have a celery seed. And I also have bay leaves. The bay leaves have tannins in them, and that helps keep the pickles crisp. Or you can use a grape leaf. And I also heard oak leaf will do the same thing, but I had some bay leaves, so that's what I'm going to use. I have some garlic. 2 of the jars are going to be spicy, so I got some jalapenos. I'm going to add 1/4 of an onion to each. All of this is going in all the jars except for the jalapenos. I will only be doing jalapenos in 2 jars. I thought this would be a good idea to try because it is so stifling hot right now. It's like over 90 degrees. The humidity is like 96%. And water bath canning also gets your house very hot. And I'm already hot. So I don't need to steam up the house anymore. And so this will be very quick. I've watched several YouTube videos on how to do this. And the recipe that I'm going to be following is from the Fermented Adventure YouTube channel. I think they're out of Florida. And they do a lot of different ferments. I'll put a link to the video that I watched because they also did a before and after and then a jar that sat for a year. And they'll tell you how that worked out. So once the ferment, we're going to do either a half sour or a full sour. So at about 3 days, you're going to want to test the pickles to see if that's the flavor that you want. If you want them a little bit more sour, you're going to want them to go maybe 5 to 7 days. And then once they're done fermenting, then you'll put a regular lid on them and put them in the fridge for storage. I'm probably going to have these used up within about 6 months. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do today. And I hope you'll stay and watch the process. And it's going to be good. So if you want to learn how to ferment pickles instead of water bath canning them, keep watching this video. We're going to get right to it. Okay, so I have the recipe written down that the Fermented Adventure used. I'm going to try that recipe. Since I've never done it before, I'm not really sure how much of what to put in, and they said they really liked their recipe that they used. And so I also have fresh dill right here that I got the other day from the store. So what we're going to do is, like I said, I've already washed these, and what you want to do is cut off the blossom head. I'm also going to cut off the other end too. And then I'm going to cut these in half. I'm not going to spear them because how you cut them will depend on how crisp they stay. If you do like slices, I've heard that those don't stay crisp as long. And if you do spears, they stay crispy a little bit longer, but not as much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these in half. And then when I serve them or whatever, I might spear them then, or we'll just leave them the way they are. So all right, I think I need something to put my compost in. Hold on, I'll be right back. So the other thing that they recommended was putting the spices in the bottom first. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some dill flowers. We'll add some of those in. And then mustard seed. Is 1 teaspoon. You know, you can add more or less whatever you want. You can experiment with other spices as well. I think I might go get my turmeric and add some of that too. Celery seed is a 1/4 teaspoon. And you can add whole peppercorns, or you can just grind some up and put some in. All right, I have garlic. Some of these are really big, so I'm only going to put in a couple. And if you smash them like that, that helps get the flavors going for the garlic. And you can cut them in half or just put them in. And it helps also to get the runaway garlic. Uh-oh, my power just went out. Oh, come on back. Ruh-roh. All right, we'll be right back. The power just went out. Okay, where were we? The power's back on now. So, all right, so I've got the cloves. Oh, I'm gonna put in 1/4 of an onion in each. So I'm gonna cut this up a little bit more. If you don't want onion, you don't have to put in onion. I'm just gonna kind of layer some of this onion in. I went and found my turmeric. I'm gonna put in where's my teaspoon? Here it is. A teaspoon of turmeric. Got the peppercorn, celery seed, mustard, dill, onion, garlic, and I think we'll go ahead and do some jalapeno in this one. So this one's going to be one of the spicy ones. So a lot of the spice is in this pith here, this white stuff and the seeds. So if you want it less spicy, you can take that out. You might want to wear gloves. I'm probably going to regret this, not wearing gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of those in. And then I'm going to start adding the pickles. We're just going to go ahead and keep cutting the ends off and then cutting them in half. And you want the pickles kind of small like this because if you let them get really big, there's too much water content in them. And then your pickles will get mushy. So, and we're trying to have crisp pickles. So when you pack them in, just kind of like you do if you're canning them, water bath canning them. Once the pickles have completed fermentation and you've eaten all the pickles, don't throw away the pickle juice because that is good for to be able to drink it for muscle tightness, and also you can use it for to start other ferments. So don't throw away your pickle juice. It's definitely good for drinking it and tight muscles. Some more jalapeno. And then to make the brine, I have 4 cups of water here. And like I said, I'm using my Redmond sea salt. You don't want to use iodized salt and you don't want chlorinated water. So If your tap water is municipal, most likely it has chlorine in it. And I have well water. I use the filter of my well water. And we need, it is 2 teaspoons per cup of water. So with the 4, it is 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons. Some people will heat this up to have the salt dissolve, but you don't need to do that. It's a personal preference. And I need to go get something to stir this up. Be right back. So we just need to get this stirred up. So the salt water is the brine. It's a lacto-fermentation, and there's no vinegar going in here at all. Hope I can get another pickle in there. I think there's about 4. I was thinking about doing half-gallon jars, but I don't know. I decided to go with the quart jars. I can't seem to get any more in there. Oh, there we go. Now if I can get one more in there. I think I might have fit 5 in there. All right, we gotta get this stirred up. And then once we're done filling the jars, you're going to want to store these in a cool, dry place. You don't want them to be anywhere near any sunlight or light. And if it's pretty warm, they may ferment a lot quicker. And then you also may want to set these on a tray or a plate in case they bubble over, but I'm only going to fill the water up to about here, right under the rim. All right, I can't seem to. We'll use my spinny thing to get the water and salt dissolved. I use this for my coffee and several other things. I just rinse it off and reuse it for whatever. But I thought this might go a lot quicker. I use this when I make hummingbird nectar as well, to help dissolve the sugar in the water. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. And before I put the pickle pipe lid on, I'm going to put a regular lid on and shake up the spices. Let's get all that down. Add a little bit more water. I'll add one of these. Push it down. Put on the pickle pipe. And there you have it. 1 jar ready for fermentation. It looks kind of full, so I'm probably going to put it on a tray. There it is. Turmeric and all the good stuff. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on a couple more jars, and I'll bring you back. All right, there's one thing I forgot. I forgot to put the bay leaves in. There, I'll put that in. All right, we'll put that back on top. There. There, can't forget the bay leaves. All right, so now you can see the bay leaves. All right, so the next two we're going to do no spice or no hotness. We're going to do this, the garlic and dill. All right, go ahead and add our onion. So these will be made basically the same, just without jalapenos. Maybe we'll make these a little more garlicky. Whoop. Like I said, crushing the garlic helps peel them and get those garlic juices flowing. We'll go ahead and add some bay leaves so I don't forget. We'll add some ground peppercorns. Celery salt was a 1/4 teaspoon. Celery seed, not celery salt, celery seed. And then the peppercorns was a teaspoon. There's also a pickling spice you could use instead if you didn't want to do all that separately. All right, I guess it's time to add the pickles. Oh, I forgot to add the turmeric. Let me add a little bit of turmeric. I think I'll just do a 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric because I'm almost out. Thought I had more. All right. I'm trying to do about the same size so they'll ferment about the same amount of time. In the other jar, I had a couple of small ones that were about the size if I cut them, a larger one in half. So I left them whole. So you can get anywhere, depending on the size of the pickles, you can get anywhere from 4 to 5, maybe even 6, depending. Here's a small one. We'll just leave that one whole. We'll stick that down there in the middle. I wonder if I can fit one more. There's a smaller one. Some more onion. And maybe another on top. All right, so I had to make up some more brine. I did the same as what I showed you was the 4 cups, 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons. And just a good stir one more time. And pour the brine in. Go ahead and give this one a shake. All right, let's see where we're at. So the 2 jars that have blue lids are the non-spicy ones. There. Non-spicy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my last jar and I'll bring you back. All right, so out of that big bowl of pickles, I only have 2 left. So I'm probably just going to use these in a salad. And then I got 5 quarts. These 3 are the spicy with the jalapeno, and these 2 are non-spicy, so more of a garlic dill pickle. And they're basically made the same way, except there's jalapenos in these, and these 2 do not. Because what these are going to do is these are going to bubble up, and things are going to probably start moving around a little bit. So some of the spices that are stuck on the bottom will start moving around with the bubbles. And then in 3 days, I'll do a taste test to see how they are. And then if they need to go a little bit longer, they can go longer. If they're good, then I will replace these lids and put them in my refrigerator out in my pantry room where we can enjoy these fermented pickles for like up to 6 months. I mean, you can go longer, but I'll put a link in the description for the Fermented Adventure YouTube channel where they did a taste test on pickles that had been fermented and stored for up to a year. They said they were okay. They still had a little bit of crunch, but the flavor was just kind of starting to lose at about a year. So they recommended, like 6 months. So that means, you know, a quart a month. I think we could do that. And then when my pickles are done in my garden or ready to pick, I will probably do some more. And then I can show you the difference. These will get cloudy. The brine is going to get cloudy, just kind of like it does when you can pickles. You know, they look all vibrant in the jar, and then when you put them in the water bath canner, then they get cloudy. The pickles are a little bit darker. They're not as green and vibrant, and that's kind of what's going to happen with these as well. But these are probiotic, good for your gut health, and more nutritious. I'm hoping to maybe do some more different vegetables, fermented vegetables, to be able to snack on, because they're just so much better for you. And your gut health is everything, you know, for your health. You know, a lot of people that have issues, it's really their gut health that is, you know, causing the problems, and nobody realizes it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you at the next one and do a taste test and show the bubbles and how this ferments. So until then, I'm going to go put these in a cool, dark spot. I got a tray ready for them to sit out on in the corner of my kitchen, because my pantry room is way too hot. And we use the air conditioner on inside the house. So I think that will be better, and it'll be blocked from the light as well. So, all right, I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you at the next video. God bless. See ya.